Hello students, today I am going to explain chapter 3 from Snapshots titled as Ranga's Marriage. Let's look at the characters of this chapter. Shyama, the author; Ranga, son of the village accountant; Ratna, his wife, and the village astrologer. The explanation of the chapter starts with the protagonist Ranga, who is an accountant's son and who has returned from his village after receiving education from Bangalore. As the news of his arrival, the villagers gathered at his home to analyze if he had changed or not and what is his perception about a marriage. Everyone was so excited during those days. Not everyone used to get a chance to go to cities for studying. The narrator expects the reader to be questioning the simplicity of the title Ranga's Marriage. He feels readers might be thinking of a fancier title like Ranganatha Vivaha or Girija Kalyana. But he then speaks about that he lives in a village called as Hosahali, which is in Mysore, and not many people know of it, and the narrator does not blame them because there is no trace of it in the geography books. Even the Englishmen have no idea about the place, but they are also not to blame because our citizens too are completely ignorant about his village. At last, he feels the cartographer is also not to be held responsible. As a result, there is no trace of their village on the map. He says, as Mysore is very important to India, Kariga Dabu, a festival meal which has a filling of coconut and sugar, is also very, very important. He speaks glowingly of his village Hosahali and what all things are there which are very famous over there. So the first is a festival meal called Kariga Dabu. Next he talks about the sour mangoes. He says a doctor named Gundabata felt also the same, that the doctor had been to many places except England, but he still loves Hosahali. He talks about these special mangoes which has a special quality, and the author once took the fruit at home to make chutney and everyone suffered from a bad cough after eating it. It was only then, when he had visited the doctor, that he had told him about the quality of mangoes of Hosahali. The narrator asks the reader to take a bite and assures that the sourness of the mango will be felt by them till the top of their head. Not only the mangoes, everything in and around this village is remarkable. The creeper growing in the pond and its flowers are also special. One can even serve an afternoon meal on its leaves. All you need to do is to grab 2 leaves when you are on your way to the pond to bathe. And after speaking highly of his village, the narrator says if anyone wishes to see for himself or herself, one must contact him. He will help them to reach there. Also, he feels that there is no better way to know a place than to visit it. The narrator then brings out a comparison as to how things were different 10 years ago, when not many people knew or spoke English. Neither did people send their children to big cities like Bangalore to study. Back then, only the village accountant had the courage to send his son to Bangalore. According to the author, those times were simpler. He justifies his claim by telling an incident where he was at Ramarao's house and they had brought a bundle of firewood from an old lady. Ramarao told her to come next morning as he did not have any change at the moment. The poor old lady did not understand the word change and she went away whispering to herself. Neither did the narrator know its meaning. It was only when he went to Ranga's house that he told him. Ranga's homecoming was a great event. Each and everyone was excited and they rushed to his home to have a glance at him. Fascinated by all the crowd, the narrator too went there and asked people as to why they were gathered because he couldn't see anything entertaining happening there like a monkey performing. A boy without brains shouted loud enough for everyone to hear that in a rude way, the narrator called him immature. All the people were waiting outside Ranga's house because the place would look like the black hole of Calcutta if they all went inside. By saying this, the narrator means that there were so many people that the house would have fallen short to accommodate them all. Ranga came outside with a smile on his face. Everyone was so amazed to see that Ranga had not changed a bit after he had left 6 months ago. An old lady even went to the extent of running her hands through his chest to check for a sacred thread. However, she went away after confirming that he had not forgotten about his caste. The narrator waited till the crowd cleared and asked Ranga about his well being. Ranga noticed him and replied with full respect in a traditional way, and Ranga had not noticed the narrator in the crowd before that moment. Ranga was very well behaved and well aware as to who could benefit him. He was one of those who could analyze someone's worth rightfully. For how he greeted the narrator, he bent low and touched his feet, thereby seeking his blessings. It was not the present day namaskara where children would do it casually. It was a proper traditional one. The narrator blessed him that he might get married soon and then left. That afternoon, Ranga visited the author with a few oranges, which the narrator thought was quite thoughtful of him. Thinking how nice Ranga is, the author thought it would be a good deed to have him married to a girl just as nice as him. They chatted for a while and then narrator asked Ranga about his views on getting married. Ranga expresses that he doesn't intend on marrying now because he intends on finding the right girl. So he cites an example of an officer who got married at the age of 30 to a woman aged 25. Now, since these are both adults, they would understand each other's action and behavior. Whereas, suppose the narrator finds a girl who is very young, she could misunderstand his words or actions because she is not mature enough. He even mentions the love story of Shakuntala and Dushyanta from Mahabharata and that he would not have fallen in love with Shakuntala if she were too young. In that case, Kalidasa's play would have not existed. That is why he intends on staying a bachelor till he finds the right girl. The narrator is disappointed to hear about Ranga's decision to remain bachelor, but he sincerely wants that a nice boy like Ranga must get married. So he takes a vow, a pledge to get him married, and that to a girl by the name of Ratna. So we are introduced to a new character, Ratna, and she is 11 years old and is Ramarao's niece. She had lost both her parents, and her uncle had brought her from the big town to his home with him. She had a great voice and could play harmonium and veena. The narrator thought that Ranga and Ratna would make a great pair. Ratna was quite familiar with the narrator as he visited Rama's place frequently. The narrator thought of a plan to introduce Ratna to Ranga. He asked Ramarao to send Ratna to his place as he wanted to send some buttermilk for them. She came all dressed up. The narrator insisted upon her to sing a song while he sent someone to call Ranga. Just as she was singing, Ranga arrived at the door. Her melancholic voice touched the ears, and thus he did not want to interrupt the singing, so he stood at the door. He was curious to see the singer, and very casually he tried to have a look which disturbed the lighting in the room. On seeing a stranger, Ratna immediately stopped her singing. Ratna was shy and thus looked downwards, whereas Ranga glanced at her. There was an awkward silence in the room. After things went a bit awkward, Ranga said that he feels it was his coming that stopped the singing, so he must leave. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Ranga finally asked the narrator about the girl. Now, the narrator compares the situation with the infamous story of a he goat and the lion, where he is the he goat and Ranga the lion. He says that who she is not of that much importance because he is already married and Ranga doesn't intend on marrying anyone soon. Hearing the narrator's reply, Ranga got excited, although he did not show it but was quite evident. Full of hope, he asked if she isn't married, yet to which the narrator replies that she is probably a year ago. Ranga was disappointed and disheartened. It was clearly all over his face. He met Ranga that afternoon and he carried the same disappointment on his face upon asking if it's a headache. The narrator tells him that they should go see a doctor. Ranga insists that everything is fine and that he is his normal self. The narrator very wittily makes a remark that he went through the same feeling when he was seeing girls for himself and immediately mentions that it could not be the reason for Ranga. Furthermore, he suggested that they go see the Shastri to see if the stars are in their favor. Ranga went with him. On seeing Shastri, he implied not having seen the narrator in a long while, which is obviously not true as they had met before the same morning. Here, the narrator reveals his pet name Shyama as they called him in the village. Now, as per the narrator's tutoring, the Shastri calculated throwing his cowries and suggested that the reason why Ranga was disappointed was all about a girl. The narrator asked the Shastri to take out all his tools to help solve whatever was going on in Ranga's mind with full authority. Shastri took out his essentials and told him that this is all ancient science, but he won't recite it now because they both would get bored if he does intend on telling it some other time. Shastri moved his lips while counting quickly and asked Ranga about his star, which he did not know. Shastri implied it's manageable. He appeared to be doing certain calculations. After a moment, he indicated that Ranga has a girl on his mind. Even after trying his best, Shama could not control his laughter. He thus posed the question to Shastri, asking about the details of the girl. Shastri thought and replied that the girl is likely to have a name of something found in the ocean. Their guesses included Kamla, Pachi, Moss, Pearl, and then suddenly Shastri said Ratna. All of it came together now to a girl named Ratna, who was the niece of Ramarao. That's it. Ranga was thinking about her only. Ranga was both surprised and happy because Shastri's predictions were right. He immediately became disappointed when he recalled that she was married. Both of them left and crossed Ramarao's door, where Shama went to see Ratna for a minute and came back again. When the narrator comes back, he announces that fortunately Ratna is not married and someone might have wrongly conveyed it to him about that. The narrator expresses his amazement at the fact that he had been thinking about Ratna and asks him to swear upon the truth. To his surprise, Ranga told him the truth that whatever Shastri said was true. His belief in all the Shastras had strengthened. Shama went to see Shastri that evening, but when he was near the well and remarked about how well he did what Shama told him to, Shastri seemed to not like what the narrator was saying. Thus, he says that whatever he told could very clearly be seen in the Shastras. He completely disagreed with having staged the entire conversation. Now the narrator takes us a few years forward where Ranga and Ratna are happily married and they have a 3-year-old son, and Ratna is 8 months pregnant. She is expecting their second child. Ranga's sister had come over to help them. It was Shama's birthday. Yes, the couple named their son after the narrator, as it is a common foreign tradition to name your child after someone you truly admire. When the narrator went there for dinner, Shama came running to him only to show his love by holding his leg. The narrator kissed him and gave him a ring. The narrator writes an ending note to all the readers, hoping that they were not bored. With this, we conclude the chapter Ranga's marriage.